I have a question for you right off the bat. Please answer this in the comments if you can. I'm very interested. The question is, what is the worst news report you have ever seen from a mainstream media source regarding a true crime case? Like, what comes into your mind when I said that? A mainstream media source covering a true crime case. The worst report you've ever seen. Maybe you have one, maybe you don't. But just have a little think about it and answer if you can. What pops into your mind? Because I've been rattling my brain and giving this a lot of thought the last few days. The reason being is I seen a report maybe 2 or 3 days ago now that I think tops them all. It's top of the list. The most disgraceful, deplorable news report I think I've ever seen. And I need to talk about it. I cannot stop thinking about it, and I need to just do a video to get it out of my system. I cannot think of a worse one. There must be one or two out there, maybe older cases like Chris Watts or something like that, but nothing I've seen has stuck in my mind like this one has. I've been thinking about this the last 2 nights when I was going to sleep. Honestly, just flabbergasted by it. I'll play it for you here. The reason I came across this is in some of my last few videos, I was having a little moan about News Nation. I'm just very disappointed in some of the reporting and some of the things they have done in the Idaho 4 case. It annoyed me because I actually liked that news channel. I had respect for some of the reporters. That is plummeting. I do believe they have taken advantage of the victims' families and how vulnerable they are at this time. No empathy, no compassion, total disregard for the families. Fox News, their buddies have been the same. They're all cut from the same cloth. A recent example actually of some shoddy, disgraceful reporting from Fox News Digital is the Debbie Collier case. They put out a report that Debbie's daughter, Amanda, also visited the same Dollar General store that she visited. Complete false. They reported on this as a fact when there was no truth in it at all. They misinterpreted what one worker said to them, and they didn't go back and clarify. They didn't get a second source. They didn't even update the news report to say, hey, we were wrong here. Just disgraceful stuff. That's not journalism. Anyway, that's News Nation and Fox. Both cut from the same cloth. And like I said, I was moaning a bit about them. But someone sent me another news report that just floored me. And it makes News Nation and Fox look like saints. It's from a news station called Newsmax. I'm going to play it for you here. Newsmax is the fastest growing news station over in the States. I could be wrong in this, but I think they have had a massive growth in the last few years because they aligned themselves with all things Donald Trump. And I think that's one of the places where Trump ran to when he gets the hump with Fox. They have over 2 million subs on YouTube, almost 4 times the amount that News Nation has. They had a guy on called Jonathan who has a very impressive CV. I wasn't buying it. I had to look him up afterwards because I was sure he must be some sort of a fraud or lying about something in his experience. He is exaggerating some of it, but it's still impressive. He graduated with majors in political science and psychology, became a police officer, joined the Navy SEALs, US Rangers, and worked for 8 years contracted to the FBI. That's where some of the exaggeration comes in. I don't think he was employed directly by the FBI. He was just a contractor. He wasn't involved in domestic murder cases. From what I can tell, it's counter-terrorism and drug rings and stuff like that. But it still is impressive. You look at it and you think to yourself, this man must have a brain. He must have a bit of common sense. Wrong. He's an idiot. Just disgraceful behaviour. I'll play the clip for you here. I'm going on a rant now because I'm probably talking too fast for most people, but this just really, really riled me up. Noticed at the start of this clip, they just call him an FBI agent under his name. Lots of news stations do this when they have someone on who's an expert, so that you, the viewer, will let your guard down and you're like, oh, I'm instantly going to trust this expert who's also selling a podcast or a book. And like, imagine how many people believed this because an FBI agent on the TV told him. He is asked a very simple question at the start of this, a question that he answers later on in his rant. He starts off his answer with a lie. The reason he does this is he has no interest in the answer to that question. He wants to pivot, and I just cannot believe this got aired and is still up. How this is allowed to go out is just beyond me. He uses a classic kind of Trump move in the middle of his answer. He wants to say something, but he also wants some distance between himself and those words. So he talks about a friend, a cop of 20 years, a former mayor. May as well have just named him if he existed, but he doesn't name him. And this friend called him and said, Sir, I have never seen anyone that committed a murder more than Kaylee's dad. Complete insanity, disgraceful nonsense. Here's the clip.
Now saying there is a, quote, conflicting means of death between their daughter and her friend. Joining us now for more is former FBI agent and former Navy SEAL Jonathan Gilliam. Jonathan, welcome back to Wake Up America. So let's start with that. What conflicting means of death mean? Autopsy results are already out. The father of one of those students says the points of damage don't match. What does he mean by this, you think?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know what this guy means. I'm going to take a little bit of a turn on this because this individual, Stephen Gonzalez, I always butcher his last name. He's doing an interview. It seems like every 4 to 8 hours, and many of these different news agencies are putting what he has to say all over the airwaves, and they're not looking at the totality of the things that this guy says. He himself, not law enforcement, he says conflicting things constantly. And he says things that are very odd over and over again. I've worked a lot of different cases. I spoke to a lot of different law enforcement. In fact, one police officer who was a mayor of a town in Springfield and a 20-year police officer reached out to me yesterday and said he's never seen anyone that seemed like they have committed a homicide more than Mr. Goncalves. Now that's something when we're looking at his statements that he is consistently making to the media, and the media is overlooking the fact that he is saying things. And I have some of the things that he says right here. He says that nobody in the room, that it was fast and nobody suffered. Right?
Yeah,
there's been no report
that?
on that. He's also said that he's just going to say it. This is a quote from Kaylee's dad. I'm just going to say it. It was leaked to me. I earned that. I paid for that funeral. I sent my daughter to college. She came back in a box. He went to when they had their service for all the four slain and made jokes and talked about the lighting. I mean, this individual is bothering me and many people very much. And if at the very least, he is causing law enforcement more problems, I think, than anything else.
Definitely interesting. He also said something that caught my eye, that the killer chose to go upstairs. So want to remind our viewers of the home. So it's a 3-level home. The main entrance is actually like the basement area, and then you go up the 2nd floor. That's where a couple of the bedrooms were. And then you go to the 3rd floor where there were other bedrooms. So he's saying, this father, that the killer went up that 2nd floor and went through the sliding glass door. Have you heard any police reports saying that that was how the killer entered the home?
We've heard no definitive police reports that say that, although I do believe that is correct. I think when you look at the two individuals, the two females that were in the 1st floor, and that 1st floor opens up into a common living room type space. I guess there's bedrooms there, and those go upstairs. It's almost like a second apartment. Yeah. And the 2nd floor has its own main area, and then there's the 3rd floor. This Mr. Gonzalez, he continues to push out their details about this crime that nobody really knows about. We do know that people were killed on the 2nd and the 3rd floor. I personally have never heard any reports where they were saying that that there was different types of attacks and ferocity amongst the different victims. The only person that said that is this same individual. And in the way that he talks about how his daughter and the other girl that was with her were sleeping in the same bed, that information was not released until he said it.
Right. Yeah, so I wonder if the police will come out, Jonathan, and kind of clear up some of these things, because, of course, people want answers, right? Kids are back on campus. Winter break's going to start soon. They still don't have a suspect.
What do you guys think of that? Please tell me you don't buy any of that crap. If I came out with something like that on my small channel and said something like that, I would be lynched. Navi Clan would lynch me, and rightly so. People give out about people on YouTube, but look at this crap. I'm limited enough with some of the content I watch on YouTube. I'm careful, but this is worse than anything I have seen from any channel in a long time. They have a huge, insane platform, massive reach, and they are just accusing Kaylee's dad of the murder, and without doubt giving fuel and inciting a mob to go after him online. It's shocking. Like, I don't know, am I overreacting, but I had to make a video on this because I've lost sleep over this the last 2 nights, just thinking about how insane it is that you have a major news station doing reports like this. How some of the mainstream media are treating these victims' families is just deplorable. They are vile, vile creatures who have no empathy, no compassion. Have any of these fools asked themselves what it must be like to lose a child? Anyone even consider that? Anyone ask themselves what it's like to lose a child in this manner and what these poor parents must be going through? It's mind-boggling. I know very little about this Jonathan guy. I haven't heard him talk about any other stuff. He has a book called Sheep No More, which the title of that tells you a bit. But I'm stunned that this can go out on air. How many people in the news station watched this happen and didn't step in? How many people did it have to go through before it was approved? Those people are the real sheep. Nobody stepped in to say this is wrong. Insanity. Like, I don't think it is freedom of speech and all that, but to me, this feels borderline illegal to be putting on air something like this. So what's he saying? Oh, Kaylee's dad went there at 3 a.m. and brutally murdered her and another 3 people. What an idiot. This is the worst. This has to be the worst I think I've seen. Has anyone seen a worse news report than this from a mainstream media source? I think you would struggle to find one. And if you can find something worse than that, it must be just insane. It's crazy to me that they can just do things like this and not be held accountable for it. Mainstream media is hurting these poor victims' families big time. If this is allowed to go on without repercussions, then Jesus, America is heading down a dark, dangerous path. But I think that horse is bolted. I'll leave it there. Good luck. God bless. I hope everyone has a nice day.